But that's why you definitely can get into the Daredevil series. You could probably just watch Daredevil on its own and not have to watch any of the other crap, honestly. You'd probably be better off anyways. I mean, Jessica Jones season
Daredevil
1
is the pinnacle of all of that, obviously.
But
So-
Jessica Jones is like, season 1 is like pretty gnarly.
Yep, that's true.
So.
And I guess that sort of feeds into our next topic.
Yes, it does.
Speaking of the other, yeah, there was a meme I saw. It was like funny how only half of the Marvel shows are left or whatever. It was like the Thanos snap. So Luke Cage, Iron Fist first, which was the more recent release. So really, I guess like a month or so after Iron Fist season 2 was released, Netflix announced that it was canceled. And then a couple weeks later, Luke Cage,
I think it was like
announced.
A week later.
Maybe it was only a week out. After season 2 of Luke Cage has now been canceled. So there are 2 of the 5 Marvel shows that are now gone. We already know that season 3 of Jessica Jones and season 2 of The Punisher are like in development. So it's unlikely that those are going to be canceled before those are released. But I don't know. What did you think of that news?
I was fine with it, honestly. My take is that neither of these characters should have got their own show. They should have been put together. I think that's the way they should have done it. I didn't like the way they did Luke Cage season 1. I like the character, and especially in Jessica Jones. And like, okay, he's gonna get his own show. Okay, we'll see. I really would like to, if they had Iron Fist, just have them together, and that's their origin story together. I think they're a better fit. Maybe they're canceling those 2, and then they're like, screw it, we're just gonna put them together as a show. But I haven't even watched Defenders because I didn't really care as much because of Iron Fist and Luke Cage.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, Luke Cage season 1 was just basically a total disappointment to me.
Really?
Yeah, I felt as the main villain at the end. What's his name? The sergeant, whatever.
I don't remember his name, but I know what you're talking
whatever.
about.
Like
Yeah.
he should have been like the last episode kind of reveal as the guy that played, I think it was Mickey or Molly or whatever, the main villain for the most of the series. Should have been like the villain for the whole series.
That was Marshall Ali.
Yeah, and eventually then we would have find who the guy, Cottonmouth, who we would have found out that his boss is this guy. You took Cottonmouth out, and then but you only cut like a head off of like a 8-headed serpent or something like that. And like the fight scene between both of them were just, I didn't like at all. I thought that was like the worst fight scene out of like any of the shows, even for Jessica Jones. Like Jessica Jones is, some of the fighting scenes are like a little iffy, but it was that fight scene between those 2 guys at the end were just a striker. That's what his name is. That was just a god awful fight scene. I was so totally disappointed in that. Iron Fist, I saw the trailer and I was like, no, I don't want to watch this at all. So I never even gave it a chance, but I think me not viewing it obviously is something to be said, because I think a lot of people probably didn't watch it either. But watching that trailer didn't resemble anything I wanted. Also, like I said, they should have put them together to start off with. Regardless of you liked them together, because reading the recent comic run, I really enjoyed how their interaction together, and I felt like that would have been a better thing to do. If anything, they could have had like Iron Fist flashback to like his origin of how he got his powers, while they did the like Luke Cage Iron Fist kind of run. And also, I think the problem is that they also didn't have Daredevil was like almost kind of after Jessica Jones, or Jessica Jones was almost after Daredevil season 1. But the problem is they probably should have done what they were doing like after they started to release them, kind of like 6 months in between each other.
Okay.
They should have like initially just did that like off the bat, just to go through season 1 of all those guys. So
yeah, okay. I mean, they could. Yeah, I don't think they could have got away with that. Just because,
but that's the thing though. Like you say like, oh, we are taking a risk with Daredevil,
right?
But you gotta have. I think they should have had faith into that, because if Daredevil did good, right? Obviously,
yep.
But everything should have already been greenlighted by the time Daredevil started or got released.
But you don't know at that point, like, whether or not it's going to be successful.
I don't know. That's my point, though. Like, you got to have that stuff coming out, like, to where people are, like, craving it. I feel once we got to, like, Daredevil season 2, I think people not were fatigued. They're just like, okay, well, this is another season. I'll eventually watch it, and then they never get to watch it because it's not on right after they watch, like, the next one. They want to watch the next one, the next one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. I think what adds to, I think, what you're describing is the fact that these are constantly available things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like, if these were movies, for example, it would be easier to create that sort of emotional response of, like, wanting the next one, because, like, everyone goes to see it in the theater while it's there, and, like, if you don't see it there, then, like, you have to wait a couple months for it to come out on DVD and, like, stuff like that. So, like, you catch people who are even on the fence if it's in the theater, whereas on Netflix, like, oh, it'll always be there.
Yeah.
Like, I can come watch this whenever, sort of thing. So I think in that aspect, it hurts it. As far as the 4 shows are concerned, I think Iron Fist was my least favorite because I didn't like that was the only one where I didn't like the villain. I'm blanking on, like, that family name that was running Rand's corporation or whatever, but like son and daughter, and then, like, you didn't watch it, so you don't even know. The son and daughter, and then, like, their dad. Their dad was, like, alive behind the scenes working for the Hand.
Mm-hmm.
That was, like, only okay. I think Cottonmouth was a great villain. I think they killed him too soon. I like the first half of season 1 of Luke Cage. I think is great. Yeah, it was like then once they killed Cottonmouth, then it was and it was the lieutenant, like you were saying, and, like, his Cottonmouth's cousin or whatever, the city or senator or whatever she was, like,
the girl he was working for.
Yeah. That's where that show turned sour. I do think what I meant to do before we started this, and I forgot, was I was going to look up, like, the press statement that they put out, that Netflix put out. And I remember watching someone talk about this, and they said that in the press statement, they, like, read it, and every time they referenced, like, this being the end of Iron Fist, and this press statement came out before we knew Luke Cage was canceled. And so, like, every time that they referenced, like, oh, like, you know, it was so sad to see this show, like, come to an end on Netflix. Like, oh, we had such a good time, like, so sorry that it's going to end on Netflix. Like, every time they reference the end of the show, it ended with on Netflix.
Yeah, because Disney is prepping. I think they already have a service similar to
so Disney
Netflix.
has their own streaming service, and that's where I think these are going to end up. But so, like, I definitely don't think that those shows are done, or at least those characters are done. But what I do think will happen is they are going to be combined, like you're talking about. So either it will be Power Man and Iron Fist, or Heroes for Hire, which is, like, the 2 kind of names that, like, they go by. Or that I think there might even be 2 shows, and another one for Daughters of the Dragon, which is Misty and Colleen Wing. So I personally do not think that this is over. I also read a really interesting article the other day about Netflix and how, like, a lot of their investors are worried at their, like, shotgun approach to content, that they're, like, they just put out so much stuff. Like, they recently purchased, like, $2 billion in bonds to, like, raise money to, like, buy more things and make new shows and stuff like that.
What we're seeing right now is the after effects of Netflix obviously destroying Blockbuster, and now we're seeing everyone getting their toes into the, like, streaming game. And right now I have Amazon Prime, and I believe Amazon Prime at the moment is better than Netflix, just with, like, what they have available. I want to watch more Amazon Prime stuff than Netflix stuff.
I would say,
because I've been watching Mr. Robot, I've been watching Man in the High Castle, watched Pacific, watched another series I'm blanking on.
I would say for Amazon Prime that they have their good shows are better than Netflix's good shows, but especially when you factor in the price, Netflix is a better plan.
Yeah. at the moment too. But yeah, I because I see how everyone's really using. I mean, they obviously use Amazon Prime, not just for the TV, but that's what a lot of people are watching it from. Netflix doesn't have that kind of capability. I guess they're not going to really get their feet wet in that. And then I think even Apple's developing stuff as well.
Yeah.
And so this is where we're really seeing maybe, the prelude of Netflix's demise and fall, which I think we're already seeing.
I think possibly a little bit. I think that's kind of what that article that I read was getting at, is that it's possible that Netflix actually didn't have enough money available to them to keep Iron Fist and Luke Cage, because of like they're having to buy bonds to like keep their like the rate of content continuing, like even though which seems ridiculous to me, because I think they have like 150 million like paid subscriptions or something like that, which is like a ton of money.
Yeah, but when you're producing a lot of these shows are costing a lot more than I think what a lot of people think too, because you're also taking people from other studios that you're going to have to be paying more for just to get them to come over to Netflix. Because when you looked at Netflix at the start of it, when they started with House of Cards, it was like a really big move from like a network or from like a cable like the TV, whatever you want to call it, production, like HBO, to go into Netflix. You kind of have to pay people a lot more money just to, and then writers too. That's why I think they made a big investment in like their production studios too, and bringing writers from all over.
Yeah.
To create content.
I think so far their model, I would say that their model has been a failure. I think that like they for every, Ozark, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Maniac, House of Cards, stuff like that, Stranger Things, there are 10 shows that come out that don't get really any publicity and like just completely like are sent out to die. And movies as well. Like there was that, what was that? Do you remember the name of that? Bright. The name of that Will Smith movie?
Yeah.
That came out, and like they're doing a Bruce Willis movie, and like they've done a whole bunch of other like Netflix originals that like are complete trash. Mm-hmm. And I think if they like just focused on the seasons that are like very profitable, not profitable is not even the word, like very popular and very successful, instead of just like constantly throwing out new stuff.
Well, I think they're trying to build their own library as well, to where people are looking at, oh, this is what they have exclusively. Kind of like what we look at the consoles, like video games, when like, oh, this console has this has this. I think what they're trying to do is trying to grab people, and they're losing shows as fast as they're gaining and making shows. So they need to be able to kind of resupply those kind of urges to, I guess. I think with the comedy specials, I think they're doing really good with that. I know a lot of comedians, from what I hear through like the Joe Rogan podcast and through what I hear through comedian friends, like, oh man, did you watch that Netflix special? Like, seems like they're doing really well with those. I don't know what else they can really add that can, kind of they just have to make more original content, like Ozark, like Stranger Things, to kind of compete. And Amazon Prime, like Man in a High Castle, it's like a good concept of a show, but it's like really bad acting, as always, as I say.
Watch your mouth.
But you got to have stuff like you got to be like hitting home runs, like with like HBO's kind of content too, because HBO doesn't make that much either, but they're more or less worried about quality over quantity. And over time, you'll have enough of that quality to where people are like, wow, like I really want a Netflix subscription. And I just have to. We'll see, I guess, in the future.
What I'm afraid of for Netflix is if they keep this up and like keep up the spending that they're putting out, is that like they're going to become Blockbuster in the sense of like what they are most used for is like old series.
Yeah. Well, Blockbuster too, also they overspent themselves, and that's why they went out of business too. They overspent on trying to make a streaming service just like Netflix, and it didn't work. And that's why they went out of business, because they thought they can do what Netflix can do, and they couldn't figure it out. And Netflix was also in the red as well with doing that, but their service was like 1,000 times better, and it just lasted the time, like just like Amazon.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess that kind of morphed into more of a Netflix discussion in general. But
well, it is. That's really what it is, though. When you look at it, it's not just a looking at if Luke Cage and Iron Fist. It's like kind of like I said. It's like a prelude of Disney's gonna hold on to their properties since they've been able to do this. Same thing with HBO, but they're working with Amazon, so they have like a good partnership there.
Yeah.
But isn't like HBO owned by Amazon or something like that? No, Turner owns HBO.
Stars.
Yeah.
Amazon owns Stars, I think,
Yeah.
because you get a Stars subscription with your Prime, I think, or at least a trial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So let us know in the comments what you guys think of, I guess at this point, Netflix in general, and more specifically the Iron Fist and Luke Cage cancellations.
Yeah, are you gonna really miss these shows? Please comment, because I want to laugh with those.